I'm with the homicide unit. I am lead on your friend's case.
Ooh.
You didn't have a friend who recently got killed?
A lot of friends that.
A young rapper, just 26, celebrating his birthday in the neon glow of Tampa's nightlife, his star on the rise, his dreams within reach. Now imagine that same night ending in a hail of bullets, his life snuffed out in a hotel parking lot, his killers not just walking away but bragging about it. This isn't a movie script, it's the chilling reality of Julio Foolio's murder, a tragedy that's rocking the music world and exposing the raw, unrepentant heart of a deadly gang feud. Florida prosecutors have thrown down the gauntlet, announcing the death penalty for the 5 suspects accused of orchestrating this cold-blooded hit. But what's even more shocking, these guys aren't cowering in court. They're mocking the system, taunting Foolio's memory, and one of them, Rashad Murphy, sent a text so heartless it'll make your blood run cold. I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched. Pop a bottle of Don Julio today. Let's dive into the twisted saga of Julio Foolio's final night, the calculated ambush that ended his life, and the jaw-dropping courtroom behavior that's proving these killers feel no remorse. Charles Jones, known to the world as Julio Foolio, was no stranger to danger. Born and raised in Jacksonville's gritty Moncrief neighborhood, he grew up in the shadow of the 6 Block Gang, a crew locked in a decade-long war with rivals ATK and 1200. His music, raw, unfiltered, and steeped in the pain of losing friends and family, catapulted him to fame, with tracks like Voodoo and Play With Me racking up millions of streams. But fame didn't shield him from the streets. Foolio's lyrics, laced with dices and tributes to fallen allies, made him a target in a feud that had already claimed dozens of lives, including his cousin Zion Brown in 2017 and his 16-year-old brother, Bibby, in 2019. When they took Bibby, they took a piece of my soul, Foolio once said, his voice cracking with grief. He got his little brother's name tattooed on his face, a permanent reminder of the cost of this war. Yet, despite the losses, Foolio kept pushing forward, collaborating with producer Zaytoven and building a career that promised to lift him out of the hood. On June 22, 2024, he was in Tampa, ready to celebrate his 26th birthday, posting his plans on Instagram, a pool party, club nights, and a carefree vibe. He had no idea his enemies were watching every move. The night started with promise. Foolio hit up Teaser's Gentleman's Club and another spot, sharing his locations on social media, a move that felt routine for a rapper connecting with fans. But in Jacksonville, 5 suspects, Isaiah Chance, Alicia Andrews, Sean Gathright, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy, were already plotting. Court documents paint a picture of chilling precision. They rented an Airbnb just a mile from the murder scene, used their own cell phones, and drove 2 cars, a silver Chevrolet Cruze and a black Chevrolet Impala, from Jacksonville to Tampa. Chance and Andrews, both 21, acted as lookouts, trailing Foolio's entourage from club to club, relaying his movements. The shooters, Gathright, 18, and cousins Rashad and Davion Murphy, 30 and 27, waited for the perfect moment. The level of planning was alarming, Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkor said at a July 2024 press conference. They came to Tampa with one purpose: to kill. But their sloppiness, using traceable cars and phones, would later make this case, as one prosecutor put it, a layup. By 4:15 a.m., on June 23rd, Foolio was at the Home 2 Suites near the University of South Florida, trying to book a room after being kicked out of an Airbnb for overcrowding. Surveillance footage, later shown in court, captured the horror. 3 masked figures, Gathright, Rashad, and Davion, emerged from a vehicle, armed with a pistol and 2 rifles equipped with brass catches to hide evidence. They took strategic positions, one car staging across the street, and unleashed a barrage of gunfire on Foolio's car. 31 9mm Glock shell casings littered the scene. Foolio, sitting in the front passenger seat, didn't stand a chance. 3 others were wounded, but survived. The attackers fled, their mission complete. But what happened next revealed a level of callousness that stunned even seasoned detectives. Hours after the murder, while Foolio's mother, Sandricus Mays, was reeling from the worst call a parent can get, Rashad Murphy allegedly used Gathright's phone to send a text that's now infamous. "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched. Pop a bottle of Don Julio today, Murphy." The message, dripping with smug satisfaction, wasn't just a boast. It was a deliberate jab at Foolio's stage name, a final act of disrespect. Another text sent to a different number read, "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched, I love you, Murphy." Prosecutors argue these messages, sent around 1 p.m. on June 23rd, show Murphy's triumph, his thirst for revenge sated. The Don Julio reference, tied to Foolio's moniker, was a sick taunt, like spitting on his grave. When this text hit Sochi, this wasn't just a random act of violence, it was the climax of a blood-soaked feud between 6 Block and rivals ATK and 1200. Court records describe a decade-long war with dozens of murders. Chance is a documented ATK member, Rashad and Davion are tied to 1200, and their alliance targeted Foolio, a 6 Block affiliate. The feud's roots trace back to 2017, when Foolio's cousin Zion Brown was killed, allegedly by ATK. In 2018, ATK's Yungeen Ace survived a shooting that killed his brother and 2 others, an attack Foolio later mocked with t-shirts glorifying the deaths. In 2019, Foolio's brother Bibby was gunned down, and ATK's Hakeem Robinson was arrested for it, releasing an album cover featuring Bibby's image. The beef went viral in 2021 when Yungeen Ace dropped Who I Smoke, a diss track naming Bibby and others, sampling Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles. Foolio hit back with When I See You, dancing in a graveyard with photos of Ace's dead brother. These tracks, streamed millions of times, turned personal pain into public entertainment, fueling the cycle of death. In court, the suspect's behavior has been as shocking as the crime itself. Isaiah Chance, 21, was caught on camera bopping his head to Who I Smoke during a hearing, a move so brazen it left onlookers speechless. "He's taunting Foolio's memory right there in court," one observer tweeted, capturing the public's disgust. Rashad Murphy, the alleged mastermind behind the Don Julio text, has been equally defiant. On January 14th, 2025, he penned an emotional letter to the judge, painting himself as a devoted father and fiancé since age 13, a stark contrast to the cold-blooded killer prosecutors describe. But on January 29th, he doubled down, firing his attorney and demanding to represent himself and a speedy trial, a move that could force a trial within days. The judge, warning of the risks in a death penalty case, scheduled a mental state hearing for January 30th, 2025 to assess Murphy's competency. Is he crazy or just cocky? A courtroom source mused, summing up the mystery of Murphy's strategy. Alicia Andrews, the only woman charged, has tried to distance herself, claiming she only lent her phone to the others and didn't know their plan. But prosecutors aren't buying it, pointing to her role as a lookout. Her pregnancy, revealed in court in September 2024, has added a layer of sympathy, but her trial, set for January 6, 2025, looms large. The others, Chance, Gathright and Rashad Murphy, face trials in April 2026, giving prosecutors time to build an airtight case. Davion Murphy, denied bond on January 10, 2025, remains a wildcard, his recent arrest closing the net on the conspiracy. "The evidence is overwhelming," Lopez said in August 2024. "Our community is safer with them behind bars." Foolio's death has left a scar on Jacksonville's rap scene and beyond. His mother, Sandricus Mays, expressed bittersweet relief at the arrests. "I'm thankful, but it doesn't ease the heartbreak." Fans mourn a talent cut short, while critics argue the music industry profits from glorifying violence. The courtroom drama, from Chance's head-bopping to Murphy's Don Julio taunt, keeps this tragedy in the headlines, a grim reminder of a feud that's claimed too many lives. As the death penalty looms, one question lingers. Will justice bring closure, or will the streets demand more blood? Stay locked in. We'll keep you posted as this saga unfolds. The streets of Jacksonville are quieter now, but the echo of Julio Foolio's murder still reverberates, a wound that refuses to heal. Sandricus Mays, Foolio's mother, clutches her son's memory like a lifeline, her voice trembling as she speaks of a talent extinguished too soon. "He was more than a rapper," she told a local news outlet in August 2024, tears staining her cheeks. "Charles was my baby, a brother, a dreamer who wanted to change the world." Fans flood social media with tributes, posting clips of Foolio's voodoo and slide, their comments a mix of grief and rage. "They took a legend," one writes, "but his music lives forever." Yet as the courtroom drama unfolds, Isaiah Chance's head bopping, Rashad Murphy's defiant Don Julio text, and the looming death penalty, the question hangs heavy. Will justice for Foolio break the cycle of violence, or will it fuel the next chapter in this bloody saga? The world is watching, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Let's peel back the layers of this tragedy, from the courtroom's latest twists to the feud's ripple effects, and uncover what's really at play in the fight for Foolio's legacy. The courtroom has become a stage for this tragedy, each hearing a new act in a drama that's as gripping as it is horrifying. Rashad Murphy, the 30-year-old alleged shooter, whose chilling text about Don Julio sent shockwaves through the internet, continues to steal the spotlight. His January 29, 2025 decision to fire his attorney, Brian Gonzalez, and represent himself wasn't just bold, it was a bombshell. "I know my truth," Murphy declared in court, his voice steady, eyes locked on the judge. Legal experts were floored, calling it a suicidal move in a death penalty case. He's facing the ultimate punishment, Tampa defense attorney Mark O'Brien told Bay News 9. Self-representation is like performing heart surgery on yourself. The judge, wary of Murphy's motives, ordered a mental competency hearing for January 30th, 2025 to determine if he's fit to navigate this legal minefield alone. Sources close to the case whisper that Murphy's defiance stems from a mix of arrogance and desperation, a belief he can outsmart the system or, at the very least, go down swinging. But his letter to the judge, penned just weeks earlier, paints a different picture. A family man, a father of 4, pleading for mercy. "I've been with my fiancée since we were 13, he wrote, his words dripping with calculated emotion. "My kids need me." Prosecutors, unmoved, argue it's a ploy to dodge accountability for a murder so brazen it left Tampa reeling. Isaiah Chance, the 21-year-old ATK affiliate accused of being a lookout, hasn't shied away from the spotlight either. His viral moment, bopping his head to Yungeen Ace's "Who I Smoked" during a court hearing, still has social media buzzing. "That's some next-level disrespect," tweeted Jack Street Talk, a local gossip account, racking up thousands of retweets. Fans of Foolio flooded the comments, calling Chance heartless and vowing to keep Foolio's name alive. In court, Chance's demeanor remains unbothered, his smirk a silent taunt to prosecutors. His attorney, however, is fighting hard, arguing Chance was merely a bystander, not a shooter. "My client didn't pull the trigger," the lawyer insisted at a February 2025 bond hearing, pointing to the lack of direct evidence tying Chance to the gunfire. But prosecutors counter with phone records showing Chance's text to Rashad Murphy hours before the hit, including one that read, "He at the club now? We close." The evidence, they say, paints Chance as a key cog in the conspiracy, his role as critical as the shooters. With his trial set for April 2026, Chance's fate hinges on whether jurors see him as a mastermind or a kid caught up in the streets. Alicia Andrews, the lone female suspect, adds another layer of intrigue. At 21, she's the youngest of the group, and her pregnancy, revealed in a September 2024 hearing, has cast her as a sympathetic figure to some. "She's just a girl who got mixed up with the wrong crowd," a family friend told Action News Jax, pleading anonymity. Andrews claims she only lent her phone to the others, unaware of their plan to kill Foolio. But prosecutors aren't buying it. "She was in the car, tracking Foolio's movements," State Attorney Susie Lopez said in a January 2025 press conference. Her role was pivotal. Andrews' trial, set for January 6, 2025, is fast approaching, and her defense is leaning hard on her pregnancy, arguing she's no threat to society. Social media, however, is less forgiving. "She knew what was up," one Instagram user commented under a post about her arrest. "Don't play the victim now." Andrews' case, more than the others, highlights the blurred lines of loyalty and survival in a world where one wrong move can cost you everything. Sean Gathright and Davion Murphy, the remaining suspects, keep lower profiles but are no less central to the case. Gathright, 18, allegedly drove one of the The evidence against the 5 is a prosecutor's dream. Surveillance video from the Home 2 suites captures the shooters' calculated moves, their rifles flashing in the pre-dawn dark. License plate readers track the Cruze and Impala across state lines, while phone logs reveal a web of texts plotting Foolio's demise. This case is a masterclass in digital forensics, a Tampa detective boasted to WFLA in August 2024. Yet, the suspects' sloppiness, using their own phones, renting an Airbnb in their names, baffles experts. It's like they wanted to get caught, criminologist Dr. Sarah Holmes told ABC Action News. Some speculate their arrogance stemmed from the feud's history, where killers often walked free. In Jacksonville, bodies drop, but convictions are rare, a local activist tweeted, pointing to the city's low homicide clearance rate. For Foolio's killers, though, the net is tightening and the death penalty looms like a shadow over their defiance. Beyond the courtroom, Foolio's murder has ignited a firestorm in the rap world. Jacksonville's music scene, once a breeding ground for raw talent like Foolio and Yungeen Ace, now faces scrutiny for glorifying violence. These kids are turning pain into profit. Music critic Jamila King wrote in a 2024 Rolling Stone op-ed, citing Who I Smoke and When I See You as examples. The tracks, with their millions of YouTube views, turned a street war into a global spectacle, each diss a spark in a powder keg. Fans, however, defend the music's authenticity. Foolio rapped his truth, a commenter wrote on a Voodoo video. He wasn't faking for clout. Others blame the industry, arguing labels like Cinematic Music Group, which signed Foolio, exploit young artists' trauma for streams. They see dollar signs in dead homies, tweeted Hip Hop Truth, a sentiment echoed across X. The debate rages on, with no easy answers, but one thing's clear. Foolio's voice, silenced in life, still resonates through his music. Sandricus Mays has become a reluctant symbol of this pain. In a tearful December 2024 interview with News4 Jax, she vowed to keep Foolio's legacy alive. "I'm starting a foundation for Charles," she said, outlining plans for a youth music program to steer kids away from the streets. Her grief is raw. Her words a gut punch. "I wake up every day expecting him to call, but he's gone." May's strength has inspired fans who've raised over $20,000 for funeral costs via GoFundMe. But she's also a target for trolls, some linked to ATK, who've posted cruel memes mocking Foolio's death. "It's like they're killing him all over again," a family friend told the Florida Times-Union. May's resolve, though, is unbreakable, her mission a beacon in a city scarred by loss. Her foundation, set to launch in summer 2025, could shift the narrative. But the road ahead is steep. The feud itself shows no signs of slowing. Despite the arrests, whispers of retaliation swirl on X and Instagram. A January 2025 post by Jax Underground, a street news account, claimed 6 block members are gearing up for revenge, though no specific targets were named. Yungeen Ace, ATK's figurehead, has stayed quiet, but his November 2024 track No Mercy, with lyrics like "I'm still smoking on them ops," has fans speculating it's a veiled Foolio diss. "Ace ain't letting this die," one commenter wrote, while others urged peace. "Enough bodies, bruh." Jacksonville police, wary of escalation, have upped patrols in Moncrief and Springfield, where 6 Block and ATK hold sway. "We're not waiting for the next funeral," Sheriff TK Waters told reporters in February 2025. Yet the streets have their own rules, and pride runs deeper than fear. Foolio's death, meant to settle a score, may have lit a fuse no one can extinguish. The cultural fallout extends beyond Jacksonville. Foolio's murder has sparked a reckoning about drill rap, a subgenre built on gritty tales of gang life. From Chicago to London, drill's raw energy has birthed stars like Chief Keef and Heady One, but critics call it a death trap for young artists. Drill glorifies the same violence that kills its creators, wrote cultural analyst Marcus Reeves in a 2024 Vibe essay, citing Foolio and Chicago's King Von as casualties. Supporters, though, see it as a mirror of reality. "Foolio didn't invent the streets," tweeted Drill Nation, a fan account. "He just told their story." The debate hit fever pitch after Foolio's death, with Betty and MTV hosting panels on rap's role in violence. "We need to amplify peace, not pain," said panelist Reva Al Sharpton, urging labels to fund anti-violence initiatives. Yet, Drill's allure, its rawness, its rebellion, keeps it thriving, and Foolio's posthumous streams, up 30% since June 2024 per Spotify data, prove his story still captivates. The suspects' families too are caught in the crossfire. Rashad Murphy's fiancée, speaking anonymously to WJXT, described him as a good man who made bad choices. Her plea for leniency has divided public opinion, WW.